Hey everybody, in this video I want to talk about the green screen process, the potential applications for that, how to do that. But let me warn you right now, this is a pretty advanced thing to take on right now. I have had questions about it, which is why I'm doing the video, but this is not recommended for most people. And as I was emailing and kind of processing this with a coworker, we kind of arrived at this place that helped me understand where the line should be. And I think if you're looking at this as, oh cool, there's this fun potential to be able to do green screen and increase engagement, or it'll be fun for me to figure it out or whatever, great. You should watch this video, figure it out. It is fun. But if you're looking at it as like, oh my gosh, this is another stressor, another thing I have to figure out, another thing I have to look at, don't do it. There is plenty to be stressed out about right now, and you don't need to add this to your plate. My advice to anybody who's looking at technology this year and trying to learn new things is focus first on what you need to do for instruction, and then focus on what you want to do, what's going to make the biggest impact for students. And then once you have all that figured out, then you can start looking at these fun little bells and whistles and things like green screen. But I can't imagine a situation, a teaching situation, where someone would need to do green screen. However, it can be really fun. So I'm going to kind of walk you through how to do it, how to set it up on your machine if you decide you want to do that, and kind of show you some of the applications of this technology. The main program that you're going to need it's called OBS Studio, and I'll put the link in the description. I'm going to open that right now so you can see some of the applications of this technology. Okay, so I have two monitors going on right now, so I'm going to bring this over to my main monitor. So this is one of the applications of this technology. It's mirrored for me, so the image looks backward, but when I project this, I'll show you how to do a virtual camera in a minute, then it looks right. So I've got this background from the office, which is fun, or I can even loop video like this. How fun is that? So things like that, like I said, it can be very, very fun to do these different backgrounds, and using green screen, we can easily switch those out, and then I'm just superimposed on top of all of it. So let me show you kind of how to set this up. When you first install OBS, it'll kind of take you through some default settings. I just kept all of those at the default that it suggested, and then hit OK. And then when you first open it, this is going to be blank, this sources panel. So the first thing you're going to want to do is click plus and add your audio input audio input capture and your video capture device. And that's going to just be your built-in webcam or whatever. And if you have other fancier stuff you want to use, you can add that there as well. And then after you have those figured out, the camera, my one complaint about OBS is every time I restart my computer I have to reset the white balance. So let me show you how to calibrate that real quickly. You can right click on webcam, and you can name that whatever you want, but that's my video capture device. And then you'll go to properties and then configure video, and then you have all these sliders. And the one that always gets messed up is when I restart my computer, it looks like this. Not good. So I have to uncheck auto because I don't want the white balance to be auto, and then I have to slide this to get it to where I want it to be, because a lot of times it starts out looking horrible, or I can go too far the other way. So I just slide it until it looks about right, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You could spend a lot of time being a major perfectionist about this, but I get it just good enough, and then hit apply. And there's some other things you can adjust here, zoom and focus, depending on your camera's abilities. So then I'll just hit OK, hit OK again, close out of that. So now your white balance is good enough and all that. And before you can take advantage of the green screen technology, you have to add what's called a filter. So that's done very similar to the calibration we just did. So we're going to right click on the webcam again, and we're going to go to filters this time. And right now you can see I have a chroma key effect filter. I'm going to actually turn that off so you can see what it normally looks like without that. So here's my actual green screen. And you can spend a lot of money buying a real fancy one, or you can go to Joann's Fabric and buy some green fabric that looks about the right color. I have a couple coupons if anybody in the Loveland area wants to hit me up and I think I spent $20 on this, and it's big. Like, it's way bigger than most green screens that you can get for this sort of application, which is nice. It gives me a lot of flexibility. In fact, let me see if I can just move my webcam around so you can see. So I've got a lot of wiggle room on the sides. It's pretty tall, goes down pretty far. So it is, I'm really happy with it, and I spent so much less than you'll normally spend in the stores for an actual green screen. This is like fleece or something. So anyway, to add the effect filter, you want to be careful. You don't add it to this top part, audio video filters. You have to add it down here to effect filters. So I'm going to walk you through this process, even though I already have it set up. You'll click plus, and then chroma key, and I'm just going to call it chroma key 2 because I already have one. And then it defaults. It has some default settings, but it's not quite where I want it to be. And you can see here there's like some weird, it's just not quite right. I will tell you, there are a couple of things to make this, to give you the best chance at success for chroma key. Number one, don't wear green if you're using a green screen, because it'll start erasing other parts of you. Or you can do a different color. You can do blue. Blue screen used to be the go-to, but again, green seems to be a little bit better because we just wear green less often, and it's not going to cause a conflict as much. So anyway, get a green screen, and if you're going to do a non-traditional one like I did, I would Google, like, look up some green screens so you have a pretty good idea of what color you're looking for, because there are a lot of different shades of green. Forest green is going to cause some problems for you probably. So anyway, as you're setting this up, oh, I'm sorry, one other thing I forgot to mention. You also want to light it well. The more evenly the back is lit, the easier it's going to be to remove that background. So I have one big light on this side and one big light on this side, and they're both kind of diffused, so they're broad points of light, so they kind of soften the shadow behind me, and between the two of them, one, if I'm blocking this one, then this other one is going to hit the area behind me pretty well and eliminate those shadows. So you want to try to eliminate shadows on the backdrop as much as possible. Okay, so anyway, once you get in here with the settings, you want to select your color key type, and green is most common. That's the one I recommend. You can do any color though, you can customize it. And then you're going to adjust the similarity. So that's the one that's going to really make a difference. If I move it down, you can see it's grabbing very small shades of green. But I want to increase that, and you can see if I go too far, it starts finding weird greenness in my skin and removing my skin. So you don't want to go too far. Just adjust this a little bit. And depending on what you're wearing each day, you might actually have to tweak these settings from day to day. But very easy to do. I pretty much leave these as they are. You're welcome to play with them, but I didn't really need to adjust those. So then we can close. Oh, you can see still a little bit of fuzz down here, so I do need to go back and adjust that. But for the sake of time, I'll just leave it for now. And now that you have your green screen adjusted, it's basically, before you add the background things, it's going to just look like this, where you're just on top of a black background. So then you just need to add your backgrounds. And you can, so this one is actually a video background, but so you can do that like, where is it, media source. So you can choose a video if you want something moving, but honestly I don't recommend that for most applications because it can be distracting. If you're actually doing that like during a class and there's this constant motion going on behind you, your kids aren't going to be able to pay attention very well. But you can do that, and then image is the one that I use most often. So you just click image, and then you can title it whatever you want. I find it helpful to choose a title that helps me know what it is, especially if I have several of these, and then I can easily move them around. So I'll just say test, and then OK. I do want to make it visible. That's not that important. You can change it later. And then I'm going to browse for my image file, and I'll probably have it in my downloads or my image file. We'll say downloads. So I've got some beach pictures here. We'll see if that works. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so, and I titled this test, but you can change the title later. Now, I recommend checking this box too, unload image when not showing. That helps to free up some of your system resources, and then it'll just load it back once you come back to it. So I'm going to check that. Hit OK. And you'll notice that it's blocked me. It's just this image. It defaults to go on top. So you have to reorder these. So you can just drag it. And it's a layering system. So you want what's on top will be visible unless it doesn't block the whole screen like this. I'm green screen, so I'm not blocking the whole screen. So then you see also what's one layer below that. And you can do lots of layers if you want. But the more layers you have, the more draining it is on system resources, which makes it more likely that your camera will lag. All right, so I'm going to actually rename this so you can see how to do it. You just right click on it, go to rename. I'm going to call it beach. Okay, and it's that simple. So that's how you green screen, and by itself this program is really for like streaming for video games or things like that. And you might be tempted to go like, oh, start streaming, but then you have to know these detailed things like URL and stream key, and Google Meet and Zoom don't really work with these. So there's a different way to deal with this. We're going to cancel out of that. You can also, side note, if you're not using this for a live, like a synchronous meeting, you can also just do a recording. So I could do it, hit start recording, and then it's going to create a video file of what it sees here, and that'll show up in my videos folder on my hard drive, and then I can just upload that later. But for synchronous stuff, if I want to stream on Google Meet or something, there's another way to do that. And it's using a tool called Webcam. This is an add-on. You have to install this in addition to regular OBS. So I'll put the link to Webcam in the description here as well if you want to do this for streaming. But just so you know, once you have it installed, it's very easy to use. You just click on Webcam. Just drag this over again. I have it on auto start, so anytime I start OBS, it's going to start the Webcam. And I don't deal with this. They talked about having some bugs in the horizontal flip feature, so I've just left that alone. I'm sure they'll fix it later, but it's not worth the possible glitches for me. This part doesn't really matter to me either. I haven't had any issues of having to do that. And I've left all the other things default. You can do multiple target cameras and stuff like that, but it defaults to OBS camera. So it's already going because I had it on auto start. But if I stop it, then I can change what the target camera is. And I'll explain why that's important later. But target camera, just remember OBS camera, we're going to be looking for that when we start Google Meet. Okay, and yeah, buffered frames, I just leave it at 3, and that's always worked fine for me. You could up it a little bit if your connection is a little bit shakier, but as far as I can tell, it doesn't make that big of a difference. So I'm going to hit start here so you can see how this is used, and we'll close out of that. As long as it's going and that start is gray, then it's running. So we can close that, and I'm going to open up Google Meet. And let's just go to kind of a standing one that we have. Nobody should be in this one. So this is, I'm just joining with a code that we generated before. Okay, so this is the really fun thing about using OBS Studio with green screen technology and the Webcam add-on, is that I can use that Webcam to project to a Google Meet, and it doesn't only just grab my green screen. So I can go to turn that on for the first time. You go to Settings, and this stuff is fine, the audio stuff is fine, but we want to change the video. So notice, remember I told you to watch out for OBS camera? You have to change it to that the first time, because it'll probably default to your webcam, and if you do that, it'll just see, it says failed because I'm running OBS right now and it's using my webcam. But normally if you just have that, it'll just see your green screen if you're not running OBS. But if you want to use the Webcam, you do have to have OBS open, so if your computer can't handle it, then you might have to wait until you have a better computer. But if you have OBS open and you're running Virtual Cam, you can select OBS Camera, and then that'll be the feed that Google Meet takes from. So pretty cool applications, and you can use this for a number of programs too. Basically, your computer now recognizes a separate camera input, separate from the webcam that you actually have. That's why it's called a virtual cam. It sees this extra virtual camera, and you can see even from this video that there's a delay because it is this is pretty heavy on hardware, draining on the system resources, and for it to keep up, it has this delay, which can be off-putting for some people. So it's not a perfect technology, but as far as I've seen, as far as I've heard, OBS running the virtual cam is the best solution for doing green screen, presenting to Google Meet, those kinds of things. It can be draining on system resources, but compared to a lot of other solutions, it seems to work better, and it seems to not be as draining as a lot of other resources. So anyway, that's my little tutorial on how to do green screen. If you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the comments below, and good luck.